The Sterling Mansion was not a home, but a museum of silence. A grand, hollow place where every footstep was swallowed by velvet carpets and every word seemed to vanish into the gilded air. It was a place where echoes went to die, and where time itself seemed to move more slowly, as if reluctant to disturb the stillness. Within its marble walls lived Leo and Liam, billionaire twins whose lives were as identical as their faces, two boys who had never taken a single step. They moved through the vast, echoing rooms in matching wheelchairs, their legs strong in appearance but unmoving, as if bound by invisible threads. Doctors from around the world had come and gone, summoned by wealth and desperation, only to leave baffled by the twins' mysterious condition. There was no medical reason for their stillness, no injury, no illness, no explanation that science could offer. The world saw tragedy and whispered of curses, inventing stories to fill the silence, but inside, the truth was quieter and more terrifying. The twins carried a secret in their identical, knowing eyes, a secret that no one dared to ask about. They weren't waiting for a cure or a miracle drug. They were waiting for proof of a love strong enough to break invisible chains, a love that could reach them where medicine could not. Their world was one of observation, dust motes dancing in sunlight, gardeners shaping lifeless roses, the slow, careful movements of a household that tiptoed around their presence, staff who avoided their gaze, as if afraid to catch whatever invisible affliction held the boys captive, and a father who was more ghost than man, drifting through the halls with sorrow etched into his features. Most of all, they watched Maria, their new nanny, who arrived with gentle hands and a hopeful heart. Unlike the others, Maria saw beyond their wheelchairs. She noticed Leo's spark, Liam's gentle soul, and the silent language they shared. She filled the silence with stories and songs, her voice weaving warmth into the cold air, her laughter echoing where only whispers had lived before. She brought color to their monochrome world, pinning their drawings to the walls and filling vases with fresh flowers. Maria was warmth in their cold existence, a gentle presence that made the mansion feel less like a mausoleum and more like a home. The twins watched her, waiting to see if her light could truly chase away their darkness, if her kindness could reach the parts of them that no one else had touched. In her, they saw a chance for something different, a hope that maybe, just maybe, love could set them free. And so, the House of Whispers and Wheels waited for a miracle that might come not from medicine, but from the heart. A miracle born of compassion, patience, and the courage to believe in the impossible. Alistair Sterling, their father, was a man of power and ambition, his life a fortress of numbers and boardrooms. He saw his son's paralysis as a flaw in his legacy, a weakness to be managed, not understood. Specialists were hired, research funded, but when nothing changed, he blamed the staff. He never spoke to his sons about their feelings, never offered comfort or love. His presence was a cold shadow, his absence a wound. He gave them every material thing except himself. The twins learned to see him as a force to endure, not a father to love. His emotional distance was the true cage around them. He thought their immobility was the problem, but it was only a symptom. The real disease was the crushing weight of his expectations and the emptiness of his heart. They could not walk in a world where their own father could not see them. In the Sterling Mansion, love was a currency no one possessed. And so, the boys remained still, waiting for something their father could never give. Maria entered the mansion with a kind smile, her presence gentle yet quietly confident, as if she carried a secret warmth meant for those who needed it most. Her eyes, deep and understanding, saw beyond the surface, past the polished floors and grand chandeliers, into the hidden corners of the heart. She brought a warmth the house seemed to resist, seeing not just heirs or mysteries, but two lonely boys, hungry for connection and desperate for someone to truly notice them. From her very first day, Maria refused to accept the heavy silence. She filled their playroom with stories, laughter, and the kind of joy that had long been missing from their lives. She taught them to paint, celebrated their messy, colorful art, and encouraged them to express themselves without fear of judgment. Maria described the world outside as if it were a living fairy tale, painting vivid pictures with her words and gestures, making even rainy days seem magical. The staff warned her not to get attached, reminding her of boundaries, but Maria understood that the boys needed a friend, not just another professional caretaker. She listened to what they didn't say, sitting with them in quiet patience, letting them know she was there, even in silence. Slowly, the boys began to respond. Leo, once withdrawn, met her gaze with a flicker of trust, and Liam, shy and hesitant, reached for a flower in the garden as if testing the possibility of hope. These tiny gestures were seismic shifts in a house that had long forgotten hope, each one a small rebellion against loneliness. Maria wasn't trying to fix them, she was simply loving them, offering comfort and acceptance without conditions. Her presence was like the first spring rain in their barren lives, softening the hard edges and bringing the promise of new beginnings. With Maria, the boys began to believe that something beautiful might grow again, that happiness was possible. She became the heart of the house, a gentle rebellion against its coldness, her kindness echoing through every hallway. In her, the twins found the first glimmer of freedom, a sense that they could be themselves at last. And the mansion, for the first time in years, felt a little less silent, as if hope itself had finally found a way in. As the months quietly slipped by, Maria, the devoted nanny, became increasingly aware of the twins' silent communication and their cryptic, almost haunting words. She watched them closely, noticing how they seemed to share entire conversations with just a glance or a subtle gesture, as if they were bound by a secret language only they understood. One rainy afternoon, Leo pointed to a knight in a picture book and whispered, "He's stuck, like us." The words lingered in the air, heavy with meaning, as if the storybook hero's fate mirrored their own. Liam, his voice barely above a whisper, added, "The armor is a promise, a bad promise." His eyes darted to Maria, searching for understanding. In that moment, Maria realized their paralysis was not just physical, it was a self-imposed prison, a silent protest against something much deeper and more sinister. During a fierce thunderstorm, when the mansion trembled with every thunderclap, the truth finally emerged from the shadows. "You have to make the shadow go away," Leo pleaded, his voice trembling with fear and hope. Liam explained, "Our great-grandfather made a deal. The book holds the promise. It holds all of us." The old ledger seemed to pulse with secrets, its pages heavy with the weight of generations. Maria's heart pounded. This was no fairy tale but a living nightmare woven into the very walls of the mansion. The boys believed a cursed object hidden somewhere in the house was the true source of their paralysis and suffering. Their stillness was not weakness, but a rebellion, a refusal to pay the price demanded by a dark family pact that haunted them. Maria understood at last. The secret was locked away in a dusty old ledger, and only she had the courage to set them free from its grip. The boys' fragile hope now rested in her hands, their eyes pleading for salvation and release. The mansion's silence was not just emptiness, it was the echo of a promise waiting to be broken, a tension that filled every shadowed corner. Maria knew what she had to do. She steeled herself, determined to face whatever darkness awaited her. The key to their freedom was hidden somewhere in the shadows, waiting to be found by someone brave enough to seek it. And Maria was ready to find it, no matter what secrets the darkness tried to hide. The real battle for the twin souls, and for the truth, was about to begin. Guided by the twins' clues, Maria searched for the forbidden room. She found it, a locked vault at the end of a forgotten corridor. Watching Mr. Sterling, she memorized the code and one night slipped inside. The vault was cold, filled with the weight of secrets. At its center rested a leather-bound book, the Ledger of Shadows. Its pages detailed a pact, sacrificing love and freedom for wealth and power. Each generation of Sterling men had signed, trading empathy for dominance. The family's fortune was built on emotional emptiness. The twins were the first to refuse the price. Their paralysis was a rebellion of the soul. Maria realized the book was the anchor of their suffering. To free the boys, the pact had to be broken. The choice was hers alone. The future of the Sterling family rested in her hands. Maria understood, destroying the ledger meant destroying the curse, and she was ready to risk everything for the boys' freedom. Holding the ledger, Maria felt the chill of generations of misery. The twins' plea echoed, "You have to destroy it." But destroying the book meant ending the Sterling fortune, and facing Alistair's wrath. Fear gripped her. Her own family depended on her job. She could walk away, pretend she'd seen nothing, but knew it would change nothing for the boys. The shadow of the ledger was too strong. Maria saw the truth. Alistair was as trapped as his sons, a prisoner of his own making. What was power worth if it cost your children's happiness? The choice was impossible, but her love for Leo and Liam was stronger than her fear. They had placed their hope in her hands. She could not let them down. Maria's heart made the decision. She would break the cycle, no matter the cost. The time for courage had come. She would choose love over fear. Maria carried the ledger to the grand fireplace, dawn's light creeping through the windows. Her hands shook as she prepared the fire, knowing she was about to burn down a dynasty. She opened the ledger, saw the signatures and dark promises, and began tearing out the pages. Each page fed to the flames was a piece of the curse destroyed. The fire hissed, consuming generations of greed and sorrow. Maria watched as the family's dark legacy turned to ash. The last to burn was the heavy leather cover. As it vanished, a strange calm filled the room. The air felt lighter, the shadows less menacing. Maria knelt by the dying fire, uncertain of what would come next. She had chosen love over fear, and there was no turning back. The curse was broken, the mansion's silence was finally shattered, and hope flickered in the ashes. As the last embers faded, a gasp echoed from the staircase. Maria rushed to find Liam standing, hands pressed to the wall, face alight with wonder. Leo on the floor pushed himself up and stood, wobbly but upright. The chains were broken, the boys could walk. Alistair appeared, stunned by the sight of his sons standing and the smoke from the fireplace. He realized what Maria had done, his fury barely contained. But before he could speak, Leo walked past him straight to Maria and hugged her. Liam followed, taking Maria's hand. They ignored their father, choosing Maria and each other. The wealth and power around them began to dissolve. The boys looked at Maria with gratitude and love. They had chosen their family. The curse was gone and the mansion's silence was finally broken. For the first time, the twins were free. Their first steps were not just physical, they were steps into a new life, and Maria was there to catch them if they fell. Alistair Sterling's downfall was swift. His empire crumbled as the ledger turned to ash. He was left with nothing but an empty mansion and the memory of what he'd lost. Maria, Leo, and Liam left the House of Whispers and Wheels behind. They moved into a small apartment filled with light and laughter. The world watched as the twins learned to run, inspired by their story. Maria adopted them, becoming the mother she was always meant to be. Their family was forged by choice and love, not blood or legacy. Their new life was rich in ways that mattered: picnics, books, and the joy of childhood. Maria gave them more than the ability to walk. She gave them a life. The heaviest chains are the ones we cannot see, forged by fear and greed. True wealth is found in love and courage, not in gold or power. Real love is a fire that sets us free. And with every step, the family walked into the light.
What's something people don't know about stories? They never truly end. There's always a new adventure waiting for you. Just pick your next tale and I'll meet you there. Subscribe to the Story Circle and let me know which story I should tell next in the comments.